My parents sold my future for a rich husband, but they had no idea what he was really like. I grew up in a family where money was everything. Not love, not trust, not happiness, just money. My parents were obsessed with looking rich even when we weren't. My mom spent hours scrolling through Instagram, jealous of women with designer bags and giant houses in the suburbs. My dad constantly talked about networking and marrying into wealth like life was some business deal. So when they met Daniel Mercer at a charity gala, they practically lost their minds. Daniel was 31, came from old money, drove a black Bentley, and wore watches that cost more than my college tuition. My parents acted like he was royalty. The problem? I hated him immediately. The first time we had dinner together, he didn't even look at me when I spoke. He interrupted waitresses, snapped his fingers at staff, and spent 20 minutes bragging about how women were too emotional to run companies. At one point, the waitress accidentally spilled water near his sleeve, and this man looked her dead in the eye and said, "Maybe if pretty girls actually had brains, this wouldn't happen." She looked humiliated. I remember feeling sick to my stomach, but when we got home, my mom grabbed my arm and whispered, "Do you understand how lucky you are?" Lucky? The guy talked about women like they were disposable accessories, but my parents didn't care. All they saw was his money. Over the next few months, they pushed harder and harder. My mom started planning imaginary weddings before I even agreed to date him seriously. My dad kept saying things like, "You'd never have to work again." Meanwhile, Daniel kept showing me exactly who he was. He mocked women's appearances constantly. He told me wives should stay attractive and stay quiet. Once during dinner with his friends, he laughed about an ex-girlfriend crying after he cheated on her. She got emotional like they always do, he said while everyone laughed. I wanted to leave right there, but my parents kept pressuring me. Then came the final straw. One night, Daniel invited me to his penthouse in Chicago for a party. My parents practically forced me to go because they thought he was about to propose. At the party, Daniel got drunk and started flirting with another woman right in front of me. Not casually, openly. His hand was on her waist while I stood 3 feet away. I felt humiliated. When I confronted him privately, he smirked and said something I'll never forget. "Relax. Men like me don't marry for love. We marry for presentation." Presentation. Like I was some decorative object. I left the party immediately and booked the first flight home, but somehow, my parents were angry at me. My dad yelled that I was throwing away the opportunity of a lifetime. My mom cried about how embarrassed she was going to be when people found out the engagement wasn't happening. That's when I realized something painful. They cared more about his bank account than their own daughter. So I packed my things that same night. I moved in with my best friend in Seattle, got a marketing job, and cut contact with all of them for almost a year. And here's the craziest part. 6 months later, Daniel's company ended up in the news after multiple women accused him of harassment and abusive behavior toward employees. His reputation collapsed overnight. Suddenly, my parents started calling me again, not to apologize, to ask if I knew whether he still had money.